You good?
What are we talking about today?
We have a guest, Katie Davis. And she's going to explain to you the difference between the upper GI and the lower GI.
Between the mouth and the butt.
This case should never have come to trial.
I don't think it's fair to call my clients frauds. Because one time I turned into a dog and they helped me. Thank you.
Your Honor, we would like to withdraw our plea of not guilty and enter a plea of guilty.
This trial is a travesty. It's a travesty of a mockery, of a sham, of a mockery, of a travesty, of two mockeries, of a sham.
If we are to have faith in justice, we need only to believe in ourselves.
And the truth shall set you free!
How do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Oh, guilty, but with a real good excuse.
I think the truth will come forth.
You can't handle the truth!
Hello, everybody. It's time for more Law Light. Brought to you by Foreman Watson Holtry, fwhlegal.com. As almost always, we are coming to you loud and clear from 530 Frederica Street, situated in the studio, aka library, at the high-rise white brick edifice. This introduction gets longer and longer, PJ, to be politically correct.
It does.
But yet we continue to give in and make it longer.
That's right. It's enjoyable, though.
Yes.
I always chuckle.
Well, it's hot and steamy outside.
It is, but I've been inside all day, so I don't know anything about that.
Perks of having an indoor job.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
When I was a teenager, my folks would ship me off during the summertime. They always said it was so that I could learn hard work. I think it was to get rid of me for 3 months so they could
Sounds like
basically
it.
have a 3-month date, date night. And
Did it work?
No, they're divorced.
Well, I didn't mean the date part. I meant I meant you learning hard work.
No. I did, and that's what I was getting around to before you hijacked my illustration.
Sorry.
I would go and work on the farm during the summer and help my grandmother at her place, and it was all outdoor labor. And I quickly realized that I was going to be an indoor worker. I didn't know what it would take, but I made the decision. This is not for me, man. Outdoors every day.
Yeah.
Sounds
like child labor to me.
It was.
Did you grow up in Czechoslovakia?
No, I didn't. But I grew up, and now that you mention the word slave, or did you say indentured servanthood?
I didn't say either of those.
What did you say?
I said child labor.
Child labor. I thought you, okay. All right.
What other hot button topics can we throw in there?
Here's the deal.
Katie's already done.
I know, our guest is
face.
like, when am I going to talk? When am I going to talk? We're going to get you on, Katie. Just wait a minute. So when I was a kid, PJ, one day I made the fatal mistake of telling my father I was bored. So if you are a kid listening to this podcast, all two of you, never tell your father that you were bored, because my dad made me go down where they kept all of the National Geographics. My parents got National Geographic, and they had gotten it for years and years and years. And my job was to put them in perfect order by date. So it was probably 1,000 of them, and I had to go through and organize them by date. And I got about and it was out in the garage, and it was hot. And I got about halfway through with it, and I got mad. I was like, this is stupid. They haven't looked at these for years, right? So rebellious Travis goes into the kitchen and gets a pen out of the drawer and finds a piece of paper and a piece of tape. And I take that tape and put it to that paper, and I write the following note. The slave is no longer working. And I put it on my door, and I slam my door. A few minutes later, my father comes up, and he says, "Oh, now that you're the slave, then I can give you other jobs." And I worked the rest of the afternoon doing mindless jobs. Never again have I used the word slavery, probably, until this podcast.
Till today.
That's right. And never did I tell my dad I was bored, ever. Okay, so lesson learned.
That's funny.
All right, there you go.
Here's what I took away real quick. This is what I took away from that story. You didn't realize as a kid the treasure trove you had before you, because occasionally getting your hands on a National Geographic was just about as exciting as getting that free Victoria's Secret in the mail.
PJ,
What?
We don't go down there. No, you can't.
I feel like he's about to slap my nose with a newspaper.
Or a National Geographic. You might like that too much. Okay. Anyhow, we have a guest today.
We do.
You would never know it because we haven't even gotten to it. How rude of us.
That's right.
Right?
Are you still nervous?
I'm still nervous, yeah.
Okay. We have a guest. Her name is Katie Davis. And Katie has been working for us for over 90 days. I know that because I finally got around to having a 90-day review with her yesterday. And you know what she said to me? About a week before that, she said, Travis, you know, we're supposed to have a 90-day review. You've never given me mine. I said, oh, yeah, right. Let's get that on the calendar. But it was helpful and beneficial, and we had. But Katie came to us, as we've discussed before on here, shortly after you started. The next way we expanded with the firm was we created a position of like a medical legal investigator or medical legal assistant.
Right.
And the first person to do that was my wife, and she kept
more child labor.
That is a compliment. She is young, and appears very, very much so. Anyhow, she was in the position for a little more than a year, and then the opportunities arose with COVID. You know, and she could not say no to the dinero, and went that route back into her, her nursing. However, we were quick to find someone else, Tara Dant, who then, when Kathy retired, Tara and I talked, and she decided that she was going to take on the position of paralegal. So that, again, left open the window for we need a medical legal investigator.
Right.
Now, you don't know this, Katie. Katie Davis is our medical legal investigator, folks. That's who's here today as our guest. But, Katie, you don't know this, but with Tara, I knew Tara because she worked in medical records, and we had to schedule depositions through her and get our records through her over at Osmo. And before that, she was over at Midwest Ear, Nose, and Throat, and I'd met her because some of my kids had been treated there. But I only interviewed two people when I interviewed, and I just, when I met Tara, I was like, yeah, it's your job, okay? But do you know, and this will make you feel good, with you. I interviewed 9 different people. You were one of 9. Yes, and we picked you to be our medical legal investigator. So what I want to do is I want you to first bring us up to speed on what your, I'd say, medical field, what were you, what was your medical experience, okay? And then we'll go from there. So
I went to school for surgical tech, and then I decided I wanted to go into phlebotomy and went to nursing school for a little while. I kind of bounced around. Then I went into clinical research, and I really, really loved clinical research. But over the last year, everything just went to COVID, and some people loved it, and some people hated the medical environment of being around COVID, and I just wasn't one that loved it. Right.
And I do know, like Missy, what she fell into was, at first it was all testing, and so it was very systematic. It was changing by the day. It was something that was, but her it was a lot different than what burned her out on nursing, which was the emergency room, you know. And so I think that's why she thrived. And then, of course, they have combined the testing in with the vaccination, so it's all done at one place,
And she gets to do both of those now. And I think I had told you even during my interview, I said, I just don't want to do one more COVID swab.
Right. I agree. Right.
I just don't want to do one more.
Right. So we've brought you on, but let's ask you a little bit, like, where were you born and raised? Where was?
I actually grew up in Indianapolis, and then I moved to a really small town in Edmonson County called Brownsville. There's not even a McDonald's for 30 miles. It's just a really small town.
Brownsville, Indiana.
Brownsville, Kentucky. I moved
Kentucky.
from downtown Indianapolis to a tiny town.
To Edmonson County.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And is that where you graduated from?
That's where I graduated
Edmonton
from.
County High School.
Yeah.
Okay. And we won't ask what year that is. We protect the innocent.
I think it's the same year you graduated high school.
What?
was the same year you graduated high school, I'm pretty sure.
You graduated from high school the same year I graduated from high
No,
school?
it's the same year you graduated from law school.
Oh, golly, that makes me feel old.
I think we had that discussion the other day.
That's right. I graduated from
Or was I born the same year you graduated from law school?
No, let's not push it.
It was 87.
You graduated.
I was born in 87.
You were born in 87. I graduated high school a year after that.
Yeah. It was pretty
Okay.
close.
And in 87, I graduated high school in 88, and so then went to college in 92 and graduated in 95 from law school. Yeah. All right. So there you go.
I was born in 82.
Okay.
I love killing the conversation. That's why I did that.
All right. So, from Edmonson County High School to where?
I actually went to, I lived in Muhlenberg County for a little while. I kind of moved around. I was in the National Guard for a little bit. And I just moved around wherever my career took me. I was always looking for an advancement in that next spot in your career. With medical, you always have a spot to advance to. So I continued to just kind of move around wherever it took me, and it led me here to Owensboro.
Okay. How much time in the National Guard?
I did 6 years.
6 years. See, PJ, you are indebted to her. She was a part of our of the National Guard. She guarded you.
That's true.
You feel
I
safe?
come from a military family, so.
Oh, well, then we're indebted to you.
I was a mechanic, so if you ever need your tire changed, just
She was a mechanic.
Perfect.
Well, you never know around here what we'll need.
One of my tires does have a slash in it, so I do need to get it.
But I don't think that's going to mechanics. You just need a new tire.
Oh, well, you know.
Or duct tape.
Look, I did not get a lot of sleep last night, so I am a little out of it today.
Okay. It's okay. You're allowed to have an off day, PJ. We've done a lot of podcasts, 96, and you have never been off. Today is your...
I've been off before.
Yeah, you faked it well. Then.
But today, yeah. No, I may or may not have been up really late last night talking to somebody.
Oh, well, we're not going to derail the podcast and ask you about that. Okay.
All right, continue.
I got up really early. I was at the office this morning by 4:30, so there you go.
Oh, wow. Hey, real quick, what is a phlebotomy? Or what is phlebotomy?
That's when you get your blood drawn.
Okay.
That was what my specialty was lab and phlebotomy.
Okay. I felt like I should have known that, but when you said it, it just didn't register.
Yeah,
so
that's what most people don't know the technical term for it.
I had my labs taken yesterday, and look at my right arm right there.
They did a really, they did a bad job.
They popped me good, didn't they? That looks pretty bad.
I'm
concerned about it.
It's a tiny bruise.
No, it's really not. It's big.
I mean, it's really tiny. But
I guess considering how you shouldn't really see one though.
Right. It should be just like a little
is.
bitty, like, right? Look at that. I mean, it's this big around.
You should probably drink more water.
Yeah.
I am. Okay. So, I have water here, and I'm the, no, PJ, you're the only one in the room without water.
That's right. I probably should have a coffee.
Drink more water. All right, so let's ask you this. You have something coming up in the near future. I don't know exactly when it is, but you're getting married.
Oh, yeah. Sometime within the next year.
Oh, yeah, that.
Yeah, you're engaged, but your future husband, your fiance, is also in the medical field.
He is.
Right? And what's he do?
He actually works in endoscopy now, but he came from 10 years in the ER.
Right. And he was a
tech.
A tech. And is he still, or did he go to nursing?
He's an endoscopy now. He's an endoscopy tech.
Okay, there you go. Now, we've discussed endoscopy before, PJ. You had some very vivid questions about it. Do you recall that?
Right now, vaguely.
It was with Missy, because she had also worked in endoscopy. And it was basically a scope from here or a scope from there.
Right.
Right?
I knew it was a scope, but I couldn't remember if it was in the throat or the butt.
Either one.
Either. They can take pictures either way. Which do you prefer?
What about the urethra?
No, that's a different department.
Is
That's
that
urology.
That's urology. Why are you so interested in urethras today?
So how come they combined the throat and the rectum, but the urethras?
Because it's
different.
one pathway from your mouth to the other entrance.
There you go.
Right. And
Man, I feel real stupid
So
now.
here, let's just have an anatomy lesson, PJ. So
You know what?
when you look, there's
I normally
we're gonna make it simple for you. We're gonna call it upper GI, and lower GI.
Right.
And so if you have an upper GI issue, they will scope you from the mouth. If you have a lower GI issue, they will scope you from the arse. You got it?
Well, the only reason I guess that most people don't think about the mouth and the butthole together
At the same time?
Yeah,
It's a good thing. But it
You
does.
normally don't put
one
those
thing
two.
leads to another. One
that
thing
is true.
leads to another.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we have endoscopy. End. Get the word? End. It just depends on which end.
One
PJ.
into the other.
All right. So
I'm just gonna sit back and listen to the rest of the
Hey, you've been educated. Upper GI and lower GI.
I feel like I already knew that, but I'm running on like 4 hours of sleep. So.
All right. So Katie, back to you. Your fiance's last name is Burden,
It is,
right? And we have another Burden here.
which is
And-
going to make it super fun.
Yeah, and it's Amy Burden. Amy Burden is, I love it because when she has to say the first initial of her first name and then put her full last name, it's A Burden. And I remind her frequently that she is A Burden. Right?
Right.
You are going to be K Burden.
I am.
But you told me the other day, because I like doing that little K delta sign, right?
Yeah.
That I didn't want you to mess that delta sign thing up when I signed for you, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to keep it Katie Davis here
At work,
at the office. See how much.
Just makes life easy.
See how things go, PJ.
That's right.
People are willing to keep their names
Just
the F
for
dub.
this place.
For the F dub.
Yeah.
Yeah. Katie, I want to ask you. This is where it gets the nitty meets the gritty. Okay. And you call it a dirt band, and you get it?
I was
PJ?
looking at the audio levels.
Nitty gritty
Dirt band.
dirt band. You ever heard of them?
Yes.
Okay.
But I've never listened to them.
Nitty gritty dirt band. Okay, so are we allowed to use Nitty Gritty Dirt Band as an intro for this podcast?
I mean, we can, but we don't have permission, so it could get flagged.
Okay, well, let's try it.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe somebody in Hawaii will like the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band.
Or Alaska.
Or Alaska. Katie, this is where the nitty meets the gritty.
Dirt band.
Did you call her a dirt bag?
No, it's a dirt band.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was 2 jokes ago. All right, here we go.
There were jokes?
Oh, God, this is a horrible podcast.
It's not horrible. I think it's interesting.
Okay, here we go. Katie, working here in a legal setting, okay, law firm, merging the world of medical and legal. What has been your favorite part about it, and what has been your most unsettling thing about it? Because every job's got its unsettling thing. So what's been? We'll give you the easy way. Okay, what's been your favorite part of this medical legal investigator position?
My favorite thing about it has been seeing from the beginning of treatment to the end. To see when you're in a medical setting, you see them for that visit. You don't see them after that. Especially with my experience, you only see that one visit. You don't get to see the end where they're feeling better and they're doing better. And here we do. We get to see the end result where they're better or they're as good as they're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably my favorite, is talking to them, comforting them, explaining things to the clients that they don't understand, and making them feel better.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so and it's interesting, and people that are in that, for the most part, the people I've met and encountered that are in what I call the caregiving side of medicine, as opposed to being a doctor where it's treatment. So the people that are in that have this tendency of wanting to see, wanting to care, wanting to take,
Wanting to help.
wanting to get their hands in there and what can I do to assist. And so it's interesting that your favorite part of the job is feeling like you're assisting our clients along the way, through a process. And that's perfect. That's one of the reasons you were hired, is that I sensed that, and you have continued to do that since being here. And it's important. You couldn't do your job with our clients if you didn't really care about seeing them from the beginning. Oh, and you have to weed out some of the ones that aren't helping themselves, and so and they don't know it, but you're helping them in that process.
Just to set them on the right path.
That's right.
This is important.
That's right. What about difficult or most unsettling part so far?
Probably the most difficult part for me is when you work in a medical environment for so long, there's certain words or terminology that you just think are commonplace, like, you know, one end to the other. Just you assume everyone knows that,
Right.
and they don't. So
Right.
You don't say.
yeah,
Yeah. And proof is in the pudding. PJ.
this is the first.
Did you say pudding?
Yeah, I did.
Is there pudding?
So,
This is the first time I've worked around people who aren't strictly medical, and sometimes it kind of surprises me what you guys don't know.
right. And that's no. Right.
I have a
sounds
feeling that
awful.
was a left-handed remark.
Whichever hand. I don't
Yeah.
care.
Backhanded.
Backhanded,
maybe.
right.
Backhanded, yeah.
Backhanded remark. Yeah. That's okay.
Well, I don't know a lot about legal, and
I
that's
asked
why
the
we work
question.
well together.
Right. That's right. And that's why we need you, right? I mean, we tried to do this alone, and it was like, hey, we need somebody that can, you know, tell us what we're looking at here, or at least get us in the door. And then if we have to go to a pay grade higher, right,
Yeah,
to
put
an
in the right
expert or
direction.
something, that's right. We're at least heading in the right direction. We did that today.
Yeah.
Went through some medical records together. I said, this is what I'm thinking. Am I thinking straight? And we looked at a few things, and you know, are like, yeah, I mean, you know, it had to do with how an EKG is administered and blah, blah, blah. So what's something that you think makes Foreman Watson Holtree different?
Everybody gets along so well. That surprises me. I know with your wife being a nurse, I'm sure she's used to it. The medical field is very hectic and kind of cutthroat sometimes. And here, everybody works together to get the job done. Doesn't
Right.
matter how it gets done or whose job it is, as long as the job gets done and it gets done the best way for the client.
Yeah.
That's what's important.
That's interesting you said that. I made an observation today, PJ. Kendall, the intern that's, you know, made an ignorant choice to go to University of Kentucky.
The traitor.
The traitor. She, this morning, she was working on getting me ready for a deposition. She was putting together the exhibits, my deposition notebook. She was, you know, and it's an important job. Like, if I don't have that done right, then I'm like, it's terrible preparing for a deposition, okay? And literally, about 30 minutes after she finished that project for me and had it all laid in there and I was already going through it, I need to use the restroom. So I walk down the hall and I look over in the kitchen and Kendall is in there washing dishes, you know? And I'm like, it hit me. I was like, man, that's the kind of stuff that makes the firm work, is that a person doesn't think they're too good to be doing something, you know? And on the other hand, they bring, you know, they're willing to help. They're willing to be there. And, you know, sometimes we think, well, I don't want to go bother this person, you know, but the truth is that everybody here is pretty accessible and wants to help, you know. So and I observed it today, and you know, I think it's true. You agree with that, PJ?
Well, I've never washed dishes here, but
I noticed. I was about ready to say, I think she's washing some of your dishes.
Probably. Well, I rarely wash dishes at my house, so that's why I eat off paper plates. Use plastic forks.
Well, anyhow, that's a good observation. PJ's so far off today. He and I we don't have the yin and yang going today, man.
Yep.
PJ's half asleep today.
Sorta. No, I'm good.
You good?
What are we talking about today?
We have a guest, Katie Davis. And she's going to explain to you the difference between the upper GI and the lower GI.
Between the mouth and the butt.
The mouth and the butt.
Yes.
Okay?
I actually have a question, but
Is
I'll
it important to chew your food?
Yes.
Okay. It makes it easier when it comes
How
out the end.
important?
Very important. If not, it's cool. You can go visit my fiance.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah.
Endoscopy, right.
So with endoscopy, does that include like those capsules that people have to swallow that has the camera in it and it goes all the way through?
It does.
body?
I'm not sure if that's in his department, but yeah.
Right. Now, how do they? Does it get recorded like onto a hard drive somewhere? Like, what if you flush after it comes out? Like, how did they retrieve that video footage?
Oh, it's deep six at that point.
I'm just curious.
hey, is this a project we need to? We bought a. What's the thing we bought?
A drone?
That we fly around.
drone?
The drone.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to buy
A pill capsule?
A pill capsule scope, and see what it looks like run it through and then download it. And how much is one of those things? You think we could get our hands on
Way
one?
more expensive than
A
your
drone?
drone.
Can we buy it on Amazon?
We can't. A pellet, a video pellet, man.
Is that what they're called?
I don't know. It sounds.
should
It's like
be.
a pill capsule.
It's a capsule.
I'm gonna look that.
It's
I'm gonna look it
turbo
up.
loaded.
Oh jeez.
Do you have to? I think you have to drink some of that mag citrate.
Miralax?
It's mag citrate. Is that the stuff you take before a colonoscopy? Magnesium something.
Now, what's a colonoscopy? I'm joking. I know what a colonoscopy
Well,
is.
And I was just going to answer. I just assumed he didn't know.
You're right. You got to clear out the colon right before you take this pellet.
Right.
Right, and so that we can get some really good footage of it just going down through the ooey gooey part of your
Now,
gut.
what happens if you put the pellet in the opposite end?
Don't.
Does it come up through
Just
your
don't.
mouth?
Don't. No, it doesn't. It doesn't have a
Does
propeller.
Does it go?
Doesn't work
will
that
it
way.
Go back
It
the
doesn't
opposite
have a
direction.
propeller. You can't remote control this thing, man. I don't think. Maybe you can remote control it.
No.
That would be cool.
That would be.
It'd be a little bitty remote.
Yeah, something tells me that's dangerous. Though.
Oh gosh. Oh man.
Man, this went off the rails.
No, this is hey, it's medical legal. Maybe we're engineering or pioneering something like a remote
We could be.
Right, a drone that goes through you.
It'll have to have very soft wings though, because something tells me.
You slice your intestine open from the inside out.
Well, it takes over 40 pounds of pressure to tear the intestines. So
40 pounds of pressure.
Mm-hmm. I looked that up because in one of my previous movies, I was like, can you rip somebody's intestines out and then strangle them to death with them? So I had to look up how many pounds of pressure it takes before the intestines would tear. And I'm like, 40 pounds of pressure.
Is that like tearing from the outside or tearing from the inside, though?
What do you mean?
Like if something's on the
Like
inside.
if you're hanging.
Well,
you
I think
take
it's from what I understood, it was to tear it like apart.
Like snap
Well,
it.
I've
Right.
researched that. I've had to look at this too because of blunt force trauma.
That's what I was thinking.
You know, and wrecks, and so if it gets into the internal organs, you get the shearing of it. How much pound per square inch of pressure it was. It's a pretty. I'll tell you. Do you know the organ that is most susceptible to a shearing injury in the body? It's
Can I
the
guess?
liver.
Oh, I was going to say the spleen.
The liver. Yeah. But you can damage your liver, and I mean it has some, but it's one thing that you can
Remove most of it.
remove, right?
Right. So the liver is just like a piece of crap.
Well, no, it helps you with your enzymes for like medication working and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Right.
And they don't always remove all of it. They remove part of it.
So, hey, have you ever thought about eating the liver of an animal?
I've actually had liver before, and it's disgusting.
Is it?
Have you ever
no.
eaten liver before? Have you ever had it?
I'm from the South. Like fried chicken liver is amazing.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
No,
Right?
it's gross. It's real gross. It's like
nitty gritty.
dry.
Oh,
It's
is
almost, it's like bitter meat.
But it's so good in iron. Like it's so good for you.
Oh, it's good for
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
PJ.
yeah.
There's a lot
mean,
of
not
things
once
that
you
are
fry
good for you
it,
that you've
but-
never
Yeah.
eaten.
I mean, look, there are people who eat the placenta
I'm not doing that.
when it comes out.
Well, there are people that eat bats, and we have corona because of
right.
it.
I actually saw something recently that said it is they are looking into it because it is a possibility that it was created in a laboratory and accidentally released.
Yeah, whatever it is, it's getting worse. The Delta variant, right? Did you read
Yes,
that?
it is.
I don't know anything about what is the Delta variant.
It's just a variant of the COVID virus.
It's just another mutation.
Mutation.
Okay,
It's a
so does the vaccine that we currently have inside of us not work against it?
Today there was a news report on Fox News that I read, and it says that from the testing they're doing, these are not, but is that the Johnson & Johnson is like only 67% effective on the Delta variant, and that the Moderna and Pfizer appear to be close to 90%.
Oh, okay.
on the Delta variant. But still, if I was to lay
Right.
10 dimes here to make $1 and say, one of them's got to go, and you flip it, I mean that's 10%. That's 1 out of 10, right? So
It's enough to be concerned about.
that's enough to be concerned
Right.
about. And in Davis County, 142 people since Friday diagnosed positive. That's like triple the rate that we were at.
The numbers are going up very bad.
Quickly. They've put a tent up outside of the hospital again. So
Jeez Louise. Well, it's like I was telling Amy earlier with the Olympics. Apparently, they banned all spectators.
Yes.
And that's really pissed off the sponsors and the vendors that are there because
A lot of the alternates tested positive.
Yeah,
Really?
where all the alternates had to go to stay. It ran through there like it does, and all the alternate, like a big percentage, 60%
Either have it or are
70%
quarantined.
Quarantined, yeah. Mhm.
So is it a here we go again situation?
I don't want
or-
to say that. I think the one thing that's different than it was before is that a significant part of our society has been vaccinated. But if it's not totally effective, 10% are going to still get it.
Yeah.
Then I think we could be at the beginning of seeing it spike again.
And
I
that's the
think we're
thing-
better prepared this time as well.
True.
Yeah.
We didn't know what to expect last time. This time we do. The medical world is prepared for it this time, or at least as prepared as we can be.
Right.
Well, something I've always found interesting is like, I didn't graduate from college, but I took college classes ish. And we talked, we had
You didn't take anatomy.
Well, I just didn't remember it if I did. But we were talking about virology at one point, and they had this specialist come in to kind of talk to the class. And the thing that I thought was really interesting that he said is that it only takes the right mutation for even the HIV virus to become airborne. It just has to get into the right person.
Just one little variation.
And then that's all it takes, and then suddenly HIV is airborne. So it's kind of amazing if you think about it that it hasn't happened yet.
Depending on what your beliefs are. I mean, humans have been on this earth for a long time. And viruses have mutated ever since the beginning of mankind, right? And so one thing is that the way we are engineered and made is resilient to, while it will kill out a certain amount of us, our body naturally begins immunity.
Right.
Just like the flu variant. I mean, the flu mutates every year. Every year it's different. And your body just builds up immunity to it every year.
Yep.
So anyway, all right.
We took a dark turn.
Hey, we've covered a lot today, though.
We have.
And you know what, Katie? You're a wonderful guest. You need to come back some other time. We are glad to have you here at Foreman Watson Holtree.
I'm glad to be here.
And we look forward to you educating us along the way.
Did you know? Oh, what's it called? Not your taste buds, but there's something on your tongue that is very similar to what's on your anus. Because when you eat really spicy food and your mouth burns, and then later on you go to the bathroom and that burns, it's because of the chemical that causes the burning sensation in your mouth. You have that those same receptors on your anus, and that's why your anus burns.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because inquiring minds really want to know. You said this is something you read or that like before today's podcast.
Yes.
So you just sat at home and researched
this was something. What were you looking at that this was even being discussed, PJ?
There's some questions that should just not be asked. No, honestly, I mean, I'm very inquisitive normally.
But okay, great.
So I may have been having like explosive diarrhea, and was like, why does this burn so bad? And then Googled it. Like, why does your butt burn so bad?
Okay.
Because I'm curious. I'm being dead serious. That's
why you researched.
I'm full of useless information.
No,
like
it's not
that,
useless.
I'm just really glad you researched that instead of asking me.
So I've got to say, Katie, what one thing do I eat constantly?
Candy. All the time.
So that means my butthole's sweet.
I had a feeling that's where that was going.
This has been Law Light. All kinds of Law Light brought to you today by Foreman Watson Holtree. FWHlegal.com is where you can find more information about the law firm if you want to after listening to this podcast. And we are on all platforms of social media. We appreciate our listeners, especially those in Hawaii and Alaska. Goodbye.
Capsaicin.
What?
Capsaicin. That's what's in the peppers that make your tongue and butthole burn.
Okay, thank you.
This case should never have come to trial.
I don't think it's fair to call my clients frauds. Because one time I turned into a dog and they helped me. Thank you.
Your Honor, we would like to withdraw our plea of not guilty and enter a plea of guilty.
This trial is a travesty. It's a travesty of a mockery of a sham, of a mockery of a travesty of two mockeries of a sham.
If we are to have faith and justice, we need only to believe in ourselves.
And the truth shall set you free!
How do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Oh, guilty, but with a real good excuse.
I think the truth will come forth.
You can't handle the truth!